I guess the easiest question really to start with is tell us about Guardiola's first ever game as a manager.
First ever game was in Premia de Mar, the first league game, fourth division of Spanish football. He was appointed to that Barcelona B team after the club had hit a sort of a low because they got relegated from the third tier, and the fourth tier is like a really low place to be for all the Barcelona B teams. So basically, you go to all these small towns around Catalonia, it's a regional league with non-professional football players who really want to be Barca when they have the chance to and really are waiting for you to go there. And basically he went to Premia de Mar. It's a small pitch, just a bit, I think it's 30 kilometers north of Barcelona. Old turf grass. I know that you're aware of like what this means for your experience in like 5-a-side games in around Manchester. Everyone involved in that game said, and I think that it was Pep Guardiola who said after the game in the sort of post-match press conference or what he had back then, that the ball bounced off like a running rabbit in that football pitch. So those were the state of like pitches and teams and clubs that Guardiola wanted to face in his first season as a manager, in a way, because he wanted to, one, learn the ropes, and two, know if he liked the job, if he wanted to do that, if the players followed him, and if he was up for it. I think that the experience came out pretty well for him. Although that first game against Premia de Mar ended up in a goalless draw, which is pretty mad now that you see all the track record that Pep has.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, like you said there, like about getting, if he wanted to do it, getting the feel for it, then learning the ropes, that sort of thing. Like how early was he implementing his ideas, like his thoughts for how the game should be played? Was this imprinted on that Barcelona B team from the start?
Yeah. Basically, when I spoke to the Premia de Mar manager, to the team that faced Barcelona on that first team, and I told him, look, could you sense something about that team having something special? And he replied basically, look, you probably cannot play out from the back and be really silky in that pitch because it's tough. But what I can tell you is that the relentless high pressing from Pep's team, I mean, you could see that from the very first day. I mean, that Barca B team in the first half, they came to us and they just killed us with the high pressing. We couldn't get out of our goal, so we had to hit Rosetta every time we could. And then he basically told me that in the second half they tweaked some things, and they adjusted the game and they could have won that game. But it's something that impressed him and surprised him because, of course, when all the teams here in Catalonia play against Barca, they know that they're going to play a team with a certain game style and a certain way to try to treat the ball and everything. But that high pressing was even like above all these standards and the preconceptions that he could have about that Barca team.
Yeah, I've seen. Obviously, he's hit 1,000 games this week. I've seen a few people suggest that his time at Barcelona B shouldn't count towards that tally. You pulled a face immediately there. What do you think of that?
No, I think that's a really cheap and lazy take, if I'm honest. Because, in a way, and if you have spoken at some time with Pep and you know how he looks at this season, for him it was key just to know that he wants this job and that he can do that and that he knows how to help players. He wanted to start as I said, from the bottom of it, and just to just to face the challenge in not tough conditions because Barcelona were like the top candidates to win that league, but in a team that was really weighted in all the pitches around Catalonia. Basically just all the things that he learned in terms of dressing room management. There were players in that Barcelona team that wanted to be off that team after relegation and they wanted to leave the club. So how to handle those players which are unhappy to stay at the club, how to handle the pressure of being the top contender in the division, how to, just take care of players who are professional in a non-professional league and they believe that they are top stars in the world. So that's really good inside knowledge that you possibly cannot get any other place in the world. Plus doing it at Barcelona, which with what it means, Barca in Catalonia and in all the places you go to. I honestly don't think, I'm not going to say that Guardiola won four Premier Leagues in a row because of his management at Barca team. But if that wouldn't have happened, I don't think that Pep would be the same manager.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask what do you think he learned about being a manager from his time at Barcelona B? I mean, in many ways as well. What did we learn about Pep, and what did the football world learn about him from that short spell?
Yeah, so I think that one is, as I was saying, the man management in the dressing room, trying to understand the realities of the players. Although it was a different Pep from the one that we see now, it was more like an intense Pep. Like, I mean, not that he's not intense now, but yeah, but in a way, like creating bonds with players and everything, he felt it much closer. He was working like to a crazy amount of hours, like 26 hours a day. He was just mad, driving all weekends, going to away games just to scout teams because you had no other way to have video footage or just to see teams with your own eyes, just how they play. Um, and then in that season, whenever like you speak to Pep about that as well, he had Johan Cruyff very close to him that season. Johan Cruyff was still alive. Cruyff was usually going to the Barca B stadium just to witness the games and just to offer his advice to Pep and what he believed about the team. And one thing that Pep said is like many times when things didn't work out in the way that he wanted to, he would arrive on Monday and think, okay, maybe I'm changing things up. But then, like on Tuesday, he said, no, but I still want to play the way I want to play. And then on Wednesday, no, I'm going to play the way I really want to play. And I'm not going to change my mind. And I'm going to try to make it better. And then on Thursday, he basically, he would have seen a million videos and came up with a million of ideas and just tried to implement them to the team in order to make it better. And I think that he developed that sort of character that then translated into the first team. It also was helpful for him, the fact that the first team at Barcelona, they really needed a change of guard. And Pep was this sort of relentless, filled with energy guy that was up for this challenge. And yeah, he was up for that with the Barca B team. And then when he was offered the first team offer, he was really up for it.
Yeah, you mentioned that the first game was a 0-0 draw. What was the reaction around that? Because like in terms of the performance is one thing, but obviously football is a results game. So people see, first game 0-0. It's not necessarily the most exciting of games. What did people think of Guardiola back then, kind of outside of Barcelona B?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there was no one at Premia singing him "Sacked in the morning, you getting sacked in the morning." So yeah, that didn't happen. But in a way, I mean, I've read a lot of reports of the game and I watched the footage, and the reports were like, "Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing game, not like really tactical, not a lot of like playing out from the back, not a lot of fancy football. So let's see how it goes." But then, yeah, I mean, all the doubts that you can think about now that appear from a 0-0 draw, they quickly faded away as the season went by because the results quickly went to his side. And yeah, I think that he turned the tide in his favor. And like the pressure that you have at Barca team is big, but it's not Man City or Barcelona first team levels. So yeah, he could cope with that in a way.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned the four in a row that he's won with City. He's won the Champions League, with Barcelona and with City. Among all of these achievements, where do you think he ranks that Barcelona B title?
I know for a fact that he thinks that it's been overlooked. As in, I mean, people doesn't give like enough credit to that season, in my eyes. And when you've discussed with him about his honors, all the trophies that he has, and on stats like about his trophy cabinet, I know that he's seen some stats that didn't include that trophy, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! No, you have to include that. You have to include that because I really remember that season." And like without that season, of course, there's the logic that he wouldn't have been granted the opportunity to manage the first team and then the domino effect that comes from here. But yeah, as I was saying, it's more like the inside knowledge and the experience that he gained from that. And that sometimes it's a thing that not many managers nowadays are willing to do. Because if you're like a club legend and and an elite top footballer, possibly you can aspire to have a top job in like, I'm not going to say like Barcelona straight away, but like big team in like the top flight or just have a better opportunity. And Pep, when he spoke with Chiqui, you're like, no, yeah, I just want to have the Barca team, and I just want to start from here, and then let's see where I land at. But that's a good starting point. Because like, and another interesting point is that Chiqui, Chiqui wanted really bad to have Pep involved in the project, like in any sort of capacity, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to be a manager. And initially, he thought of offering Pep like a role close to the sporting direction or something like that. Because, and now I'm getting a bit of focus, but like in 2003, in the former Barca election, Pep was a candidate to become a sporting director of Barcelona. So he was not like profiling himself to be a manager. Then when Chiqui was on charge, he was like, okay, do you want to join me? But then someone close to Chiqui and close to Pep told Chiqui, mate, he's done the coaching budget and he wants to try it in there. Okay, so let's give it a go.
Yeah, and the rest is history. Yeah. I mean, just briefly then, Paul, as well. When you look at where City were last season and how things fell apart in the winter time, he spoke a little bit after the Liverpool game at the weekend about how that was and kind of the thoughts that were going on behind the scenes at the time. Where do you think he would rank the achievement of getting that City team to third, not falling apart in terms of league position and like being fairly competitive towards the end of last season? When you bear in mind that actually, they spent a bit of money in the January transfer window, but most of those players didn't play.
Yeah. I think that the January, and that's more my like opinion, the January transfer window was fueled a bit by an acknowledgement inside the club that they didn't do the signings that they had to do before that. So in summer, possibly they would have had to sign some more players or in previous windows. And then in January, in a critical situation, they had to step in and they had to sign new players and just to bring new bodies in for what they hadn't done in previous windows. And then, we know that there's like Pep is in a way playing a role when he goes to press conference, but he said this thing of that in the Premier League, there's a trophy in itself on qualifying for the top four. And he believes that in a way. He believes that. And when he compared the Premier League to La Liga or to Serie A or something like this, just getting into Champions League football is crazy in the Premier League. In that regard, Pep gives a lot of credit to that. I don't think that. I know that he wouldn't have loved to live in a bad note. He would have hated that. Not that he feels that he needs to prove himself in terms of rebuilding a team, because he's done that 2 times at City now, maybe, and this might be the 3rd time, maybe. Something like this. In a way, it's another way of proving himself. I think that he's tweaked a bit the way that City plays as well, also adapting to the players that he has and to the squad that he has. But it's something that, in a way, I think that backs him and the way that he approaches the game and everything. It's also funny just like to see how the likes of Bernardo Silva were killed last season, and now, Bernardo Silva, such an experienced character. Yeah, anyway, football goes like this.
Yeah. Final question then, Paul. How much of an achievement is it to hit 1,000 games in management, especially when you consider that he's only 54 years old?
No, it's just mad. And, of course, not saying that Pep couldn't be doing this because, the level of manager that he is, there's no doubt that if he wanted to, he would reach that milestone. But when he arrived at City, he was seen, and he's still seen as a short-term period manager. He would come to your club, try to do the best in the most intense possible way and in the best possible way, but then there's a risk of burning out, and he's been here for 10 years, which is mad. There was an inside joke at City when he joined the club, from staff that worked at the club, as in, who's going to leave first from all the Barca French guy that joined City, as in Ferran Soriano, Chiqui Begiristain, and Pep Guardiola. And the running order was okay, Pep is potentially going to leave first, because looking at his experience, 4 years at Barcelona, 3 years at Bayern, let's see how many years he stays here. But Pep is going to be first, maybe. Then Chiqui is going to help a bit with the change of guard, and then Ferran is going to stay and he's going to decide whatever he does. And it's not been like that. It's not been like that because City has been able to, and we've spoken about that a lot of times, but they've been able to create this sort of ecosystem and an atmosphere which Pep is so comfortable with, and Chiqui has left first, basically. In a way, I didn't imagine if Pep was about to reach that milestone, because I was not sure if he was going to manage for that many seasons. But now that he's done it, he's going to manage in the number of games that he wants to, because he has the capacity to do it.